Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best 10 brawlers to max out with the brand new balance changes. Of course, we've also got an update coming pretty soon, so even more balance changes on the way. So this list is definitely going to be influenced by that, so let's jump into it. Jumping into the first brawler you should absolutely max out in this meta, it is Brock. So Brock right now is such a solid pick, and especially in Power League, he isn't really banned out whatsoever. And when it comes down to knockout and bounty, he's pretty much my go-to pick every single time. I would say he's underrated in that sense because he's never banned, and I always seem to pick him up, and he's good into pretty much everything. And of course, he's so strong in heist, one of the best heist brawlers for sure. So there's 3 game modes there straight away where he's really strong. I think the other game modes he can't really use him in, and he's actually used a bit too much, I would say, around the mythic range or diamond range, which I play on my mini account. I see Brock too much, but in those 3 game modes in particular, he's really strong, and I don't think he's going to receive any type of nerf anytime soon because he's a pretty balanced brawler overall, but on the strong side in certain game modes, so definitely max him out. So jumping into the second best brawler to max out in the meta right now, we have Belle. So Belle is a fantastic option, always my go-to, and again, just like Brock, she's pretty solid in multiple game modes, and she's pretty much never banned out, so that's a really good brawler to max out for sure. And just overall, whenever I'm playing like bounty, whenever I'm playing heist, whenever I'm playing knockout as well, Belle can always be that brawler that is pretty much good against everything. There's not many counters to a Belle really, especially a really good Belle player, and just any open map she can absolutely thrive. You can either put her as a gem carrier. There are better gem carriers out there, but she's just pretty consistent across the board. Any open map in Brawl as well, you can always have a good time on her. I would say they don't get the most value out of her star powers and gadgets completely, but still I just think she's so solid and definitely not going to receive any type of nerf, and she's probably like an A tier brawler, so for me you must max her out. So jumping into the next brawler you must absolutely max out, it is Sam. So Sam is constantly underrated. I put him on my underrated list yesterday, and I think it's the perfect brawler to max out because I think all the other tanks right now are pretty decent, but I'm just thinking Sam right now is so strong. There's so many sharpshooters in the meta. There's so many like brawlers like Mr. P, Gus, so many brawlers that Sam can just run completely all over. And I just think, I don't think like the other tanks are nowhere near it as good as Sam, because the good thing about him is that you can just create so much pressure. Even if you're not getting a bunch of kills, you're just getting a lot of pressure. A lot of times the opponents have to pinch you out. Forcing 2 people to focus on you can be really good, especially in game modes like gem grab, for example, hard rock mine. If you're in their bushes constantly, and then your teammate obviously is going to be able to pick up a lot of gems in the middle, can be a really good option in Brawl as well. I've seen him even used in hot zone. I just think he's a must max out. His hearty recovery star power and his gadget is a really good combination. So jumping into the next brawler you must absolutely max out, it is a Carl. So I still recommend to max out Carl, even with some balance changes coming pretty soon. I'm pretty certain that he's not going to receive a nerf, even though I would say he's like a top 5 brawler in the game right now. I just don't think he's that toxic. The Carl meta is always pretty balanced, I would say. He always has his definitive counters, really obvious counters, right? And you have to be a good player to make Carl work. So that's why I don't think he'll be nerfed anytime soon. But again, Carl's always the same. He's so versatile because of that flying hook gadget, and protected Perrette can win so many matchups. So I'm thinking every single scenario, I would say, on every single map, you've got to be really scared of a last pick Carl, because he can absolutely pop off and carry. So you've probably heard it enough times. Carl is a must max out, and he's still at the top of the meta. So jumping into the next one, it is RT. So RT, I would say, is underrated in the sense that he's always in and around the top 15 in the meta. The only thing that's holding him back, I would say, on being like a top 10 brawler is that against good players it's pretty hard to consistently hit shots with him, because his attack is actually just so small in comparison to the other sharpshooters. But I think he's so well-rounded when it comes down to bounty and knockout. Pretty much all the time, again, he doesn't get banned out, and I can always go in RC and just pairs so well with everything. I think he's pretty underrated in Brawl whenever I do pick him. I have a pretty good win rate. Gem grab as well is a pretty good mid as well. I just think overall he's super versatile. I think the only game mode I wouldn't really touch him in is heist, because he just really lacks the DPS. But overall he's super consistent, and I can only see him getting better in the meta, because there's just no way that he's going to receive any type of nerf, and he's kind of on the cusp of an S tier brawler. So jumping into another brawler which is really strong as well, it is Gray, and you should absolutely max him out. So Gray right now, in some regions, he's definitely an S tier brawler. I would say bare minimum he's an A tier brawler, and again, I don't really see him being actually nerfed anytime soon, because for me, he's not glaringly OP in any way. I think his walking cane gadget's probably the best thing about him, because I mentioned as well, I think in a couple of videos ago or yesterday's video, the fact that with Gray, He's literally got kind of like a gene pool on the click of a button, so that makes him really good, especially against throwers. When you're thinking of knockout and bounty, he literally hard counters them so much, and his teleport can just be so dangerous. There's not really a lot of meta brawlers right now which have an answer to his teleport. Like, he can just confirm kills so easily. And again, the good thing about Gray is that he's super versatile. I even seen him used on super long range maps like Shooting Star, for example, because he can still just hide behind unbreakable walls, and that just actually made Gray even better, because as long as you're conserving those gadgets and getting good value, Gray's gonna absolutely pop off. So for me, he's a must max out, very strong right now. So jumping into the next probably must max out, it is Tara. So Tara, I would say right now is definitely near the top 5 in this meta. She's been used pretty much everywhere, and I've seen some crazy scenarios where people have gone Tara on like open zone, on hot zone on my stream earlier today, and it seemed to work out because the gadget can actually carry really hard, especially if you go it into multiple sharpshooters. Even on open maps, it can carry, allow your teammates to then pop off. You get what I mean? You guys know how good Tara is right now. So good against pretty much everything. There's not many lanes in the game right now that really counter her. Biggest counters are probably throwers and probably the likes of Nita, because of course Nita can wall peek a little bit better. But other than that, she's just so dominant, so good in Brawl and Gem Grab. I'm seeing her in Heist a lot nowadays as well. I'm just seeing her everywhere. She's so dominant right now, and I actually don't really expect her to get too big of a nerf if she does actually receive it. So jumping into the next Brawl, you should absolutely max out is Rosa. So Rosa right now, I would say is kind of falling out of top 10. Might have overrated a little bit, but I was just so excited with the Rosa buff. But anyways, I think she's like an A tier brawler, but definitely a really strong option. And you have to always, even in draft, even if she's not picked, you always have to think about it, right? It's kind of like the Ashe of the new meta. You've always got to think of that Rosa. You've definitely got to pick at least one brawler that can be good against her, or else she's going to absolutely dominate. So anyways, Rosa's really strong right now, especially just on any bushing map. Infinite Doom, Canal Grande, Bounty, she's really strong. Brawl, she's really easy to play on so many bushy maps. Gem Grab as well, being able to connect so many bushes and especially give bushes to your gem carrier can be a really good asset, allow your gem carrier to stay alive. I think I've even seen Rosa being used in Heist. I think pretty much everywhere except for Knockout. She's a really solid option, still pretty underrated, I would say. I think she's going to get even stronger in the meta. So the next brawler must absolutely max out, it is Ems. So Ems, I would say, even before the balance changes, the recent ones, she was already creeping up in the meta. I think she was like the 7th best win rate or pick rate in terms of competitive over the monthly finals. So just going to show she was already a really solid option. And then you think Shelly's been nerfed, for example, Cordelia. So tanks are getting better with Rosa and Poco and just Doug in general on ladder. So Ems is probably the best brawler in terms of shutting that down. Always rely on the Ems because she can just trap all of the brawlers in her super and take them down pretty quickly. So she's just going to increase in viability even more. Again, I don't see Ems really being nerfed anytime soon. She can be really good on Heist on those more closed maps like Pit Stop, for example. Really good in Gem Grab and Brawl. I'm seeing her even crop up in Bounty when it comes down to Infinite Doom. I just think across the board, she's very solid. And if anything, she's just going to get better. So moving on to the final brawler you must absolutely max out, it is Poco. So Poco is a really underrated one. I feel like people really tend to forget how strong Poco is. He's definitely still an A tier brawler, and again, if anything, he's getting even stronger in ladder. I feel like as the meta evolves, he's going to be even stronger with the likes of Rosa. Being able to combine with her so easily is such a broken combination, and he's constantly forgotten about in terms of Brawl and Gem Grab. He's very underrated. Really strong in hot zone as well. So there's 3 game modes you can absolutely pull out Poco pretty much everywhere. I think the only game mode which I wouldn't really consider him in actually the likes of hot zone and the likes of Heist and Knockout, because he just doesn't have the range. But everywhere else he's able to combine with his brawlers so well. And as I said, on ladder there's just tanks everywhere right now, so Poco is the perfect brawler there. Let me know which brawler you would max out the most in this current meta. And also, Squeak, he's a really strong brawler, but he's definitely going to receive a nerf, so that's why I didn't put him on the list. So comment down below who's the best brawler to max out.